When you work on a project, you typically will arrange your activities by WBS coding structure to make sure that all the work that has been identified actually has activities against it that reproduce the work that is required to be done. When you're looking at this in WBS layout, here are your activities by WBS code using the layout WBS detailed view. The problem is this doesn't allow you to look at it by package or who's responsible for looking after it or filtering out on who the area leader is, etc. So we use activity codes to be able to regroup schedules to represent the layouts that we want to see and the information that's important to us. To do that, you come up to the top and create your activity codes to start with. At the enterprise level, go activity codes. You'll see there are global activity codes, EPS codes, and project codes. Typically for what we're working on, it'll either be a global code or it'll be a project code. You can see in here there are a number of global codes that have been established. Predefined. Click on each one. And you can see the various information that is available to you. So these are Adani's, the AD stands for Adani, Adani's global activity codes. Primary responsibility refers to owner's team or EPCM teams or contractors or subcontractors or suppliers, so we can delineate as to who's doing the work. And then we have project level codes. So we have fleet at the project level. We have equipment at the project level as well. And we have our package numbering. So for contract packages, to sort your work into contracts, they might be pre-purchase contracts, they might be construction contracts, they might be indirect contracts like engineering and project management. And then if you get into construction or even pre-purchase, you might have architectural, civil, development, electrical, freight, mechanical, etc. And you just keep breaking these down until you get an actual contract package as you intend to award the work. So what we intend to do now is actually go through and assign these activity codings to the schedule. To create a new activity code though, you go modify, you go add, and we create one called example. And you can also control where the example sits by shifting it up and down in the list. Hit close. We can also delete if we've made a mistake. Now it's in here and we want to add in another code, so we might just call this number 1, level 1, and you can keep adding as many different codes as you want. Again, this number 4, I want it to display higher than the rest of them, so I'll move it up. I might say, well, that was actually supposed to be a child of this one up here, so I can move it in. It's now a child, so it's a summary version. Your layouts you can either do at the parent view or as many depth of child views as you need to get the different layouts on your schedule. So you can create as many of these as you see fit. Come back to modify example and we will delete that one just not to corrupt the files. Hit close. So that's creating activity codes and managing the activity codes. And as you can see, they keep appending themselves. So drill is now appended to PV275, which is then appended to the various numbers that are in here. So each one just keeps appending until you get the full code at the bottom. Hit close, open our schedule back out so we can see it. And now what we want to do is actually manage some of these columns to see the various activity codings. We have put in project level activity codes for, say, package numbering. We'll push that across to the right hand button and we'll move that down in the list so that it's at the start of the list. Again, you can do this for the global activity codes as well. Hit apply and OK. You now have a whole bunch of columns that you can reactivity code this schedule by. So for instance, we might make all of these ones here on the package side of things. When we double click it, we want to go to filter by and go all values so we can see everything. And we might make this first one a pre-purchase architectural or mechanical CHP as a for example. So there's its activity code. All of these activities might belong there, so we just go shift to that cell. The highlighted cell will now fill down, so it's done for us automatically. We might change this particular package number into a construction, accommodation, mine workers village. So as you can see in this particular example, you've got construction, architectural, package number 1 is the accommodation village, which is made up of several sub packages of that contract. So there's the mine workers village, and we might make this one down here the road camp, and we might make this one here the rail camp, and this one here we will make finally into the NGBR camp. We'll leave these ones unassigned. What we could have now done is gone into our grouping and sort by. So now we go group and go customize. Now instead of doing this by WBS, if we double click in here, we need to find package PKGNO. We can display all the levels, which we'll do initially. Hit apply. You can now see we have pre-purchase equipment under the mechanical codes. We have construction under architectural. We have accommodation village, and we have the mine workers village. If this is hard to read or understand, sometimes the coding helps. So you can go back into the grouping again, go customize, and you can click on ID code. Hit apply, and you can now see your package numbering schema that you had developed. We also may just want to display stuff at this level, not at the lower level of the groupings. So you can actually come into here and choose a lower level. So we'll only display the first 3 levels as a grouping. You can see all those which are applied across these other packages are now rolled up under that 3rd level down that we've chosen. We can also add in additional structures in here. For instance, we could, under the packaging, we could come down and then sort by WBS as well. And hit apply. So we've gone all the way down by packaging, and now we've gone down by WBS structure. You can see it's put in the 2 levels of WBS structure. You might just want to show this bottom level without all the detail in between, because you could have many hierarchies down to that level. So you go to grouping, customize, and take out the indent. Hit apply, and you'll see that now it is only showing the current lowest level of the WBS that a activity is coded to. And you can also see which ones of these haven't been assigned to a package. It'll automatically come up. It helps you identify your contract type information. You may also, so you then could say this is a layout and call this package and then WBS like that, and it might just be available to the current user, or you might allow the entire project group to see it. Hit save. So that layout is now saved, and you can use that information. You can activity code as many things as you see fit. So this might belong to Ian Sedgman, these activities, but the primary responsibility actually sits with an owner's team. And the stage, this one might be an approvals, this one might be design, this one might be manufacture, this one might be construction. You can have as many columns, as many activity codings as you see fit, to allow you to relay out the way you view your schedule to help you manage it appropriately. That is the activity coding process. And as I said, this is also the mass coding process, where you can show all of the codes that are required. You could have one layout, which is all the columns of every activity code for the schedule, and then you can look through it and look for blanks to see what has not been coded correctly. If you've coded something incorrectly, you can just double click it and reassign it to wherever you believe it was meant to have been, and it will then push it out to that location. It's quite simple.